After completing your MBA, you took a personal break, a career break for around 2 years.
Because I had plans to get into UPSC. I did that, but somehow UPSC did not really pan out well for me. If you feel that you really want to do something, take the plunge, trust yourself. Even if the things which you try do not work out, just have confidence that you have something, some capability in you that you'll be able to make things turn around for you.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Echoes After EOD. Today on the podcast, we have Aarshia Arora, who has a rich background in fintech, digital payments, and banking. From spearheading the product growth at HDFC's PayZapp app to managing one of the largest co-branded credit card portfolios at ICICI Bank and currently working as a product manager at Visa, our guest has navigated the fast evolving digital payment space. So welcome, Arshia, and thanks for giving your time on a weekend to us.
Thank you so much, Arnav. Really happy to and very excited to be part of your podcast. Looking forward to interacting with you and the other batchmates and our peers that we have from college and other places.
So you have a lot of experience, right, under your belt. And one thing which stood out in your profile was that after completing your MBA, you took a personal break, a career break for around 2 years. So normally, like we as MBA grads have a little bit of stigma around it that if I take a personal break, how would it pan out in the longer term if I will get a job after that? So first question, why did you take that personal break? And secondly, how did it pan out for you, like when you applied or when you had the mind straight about going back to the job market?
Yes, so this personal break of mine has been part of my life now in all the interviews, all the discussions, interactions I've been having over the last few years. Those were very important 2 years, and it clearly
Mhm.
stands out in my CV because it's a very difficult thing which people usually don't undergo. To tell you also, in our batch of 254 people, I was the probably only one who did not sit in placements. And I was on the verge of getting a PPO in my internship, and I had to decline that because I had plans to get into UPSC. So I had made up my mind that I want to do MBA not just to get a job, but to get those skill sets, learn those managerial skills. So I had decided that age was on my side. There were fortunately no financial constraints at home. So I thought that this was perfectly the right time wherein I could not take a job and try my hand at one of the STEAM exams, UPSC exam, and probably get into civil services and make a career there. I started in a very rigorous manner. I used to study for like 11 to 12 hours at stretch on everyday basis from day zero, literally. I did that, but somehow UPSC did not really pan out well for me. After 6 months of preparation, I had to drop that. And I had to again refigure, go back to the drawing room and figure out what I want to do with my life. And that's when RBI hit me. The RBI openings came up. So I
Right.
spent the next 1.5 year preparing for it, reached up to the interview stage. And there I missed the final line by around 3.5 marks. So that's what happened with me after doing an MBA and after spending so much time at home without a career trajectory. And meanwhile, there was this SBI PO opening which came up. So I had given that and I cracked it and I got the job posting in my hometown. I had already spent 2 years. I didn't want to sit home any further.
Hmm.
But somehow I felt that I wanted to reach a level which was much higher and where I could grow even faster. I spent some 11 months in SBI and throughout I've been looking out for good opportunities. And that's when ICICI came up. I was made a part of the portfolio team. So that's when the portfolio was picking up.
Got it.
And so, yeah, that's how I got back into that role. And from there, product management probably just opened up for me.
Wow, what a journey, right? So I just wanted to like double click on that when you were preparing for the UPSC exam. So I have like talked to many people who are also going through the same path or at least have some questions regarding that. When you did the MBA, so did you have that mindset of having something secured first and then basically taking that plunge instead of first taking the plunge and then saying that, okay, if it doesn't pans out well, then what will I do after that?
That's true. I mean, that was always at the back of my head because
Mhm.
UPSC, the civil services exam, it's not very certain. Like I've seen people who have been preparing it for years because one, it has a very big component of how much hard work you can put in, but
Right.
there is also a component of how the stars align for you and which is
Yeah.
not under your control. So you always feel that if you don't have a backing and you spend a couple of years preparing for it, and then if it suppose doesn't figure out for you, that was of course there. So even during my interviews when I was preparing for my MBA SP interview, the group discussion which I
Mm-hmm.
had at the time of getting into SP,
Mm-hmm.
when I was asked as a fresher, why do you want to get into SP Gen and do an MBA? My response was, I want to do a UPSC. I want to become a civil servant. but I want certain skill set and I want a security. I want to prove myself to a certain extent and then take that plunge.
But what attracted you towards the government jobs like RBI, UPSC after doing your MBA?
Hmm.
Because you would have making made a prudent decision in comparing the corporate market as well as the government job. So what were the
Yeah.
differentiating factors which you came across?
So I come from a family wherein my dad has been in a corporate job. Even my uncle, my aunts, everyone has been part of the corporate life.
Hmm.
And when I'd seen them, I used to feel that you are stuck in one routine wherein you are doing something for someone which is probably making an impact for the wider public at a very small scale.
Yeah.
And my approach that time used to be, and when you're very young, you have those wild thoughts wherein you will just change the world overnight by taking some decisions. And so I wanted to do something wherein I wanted to get in a place wherein you can probably make some decisions which can impact a larger base in a reasonable shorter amount of time. Because in corporate jobs, it's not that we are not impacting anyone, we are. I understand that anything we do impacts probably not everyone, but in some way you are creating some form of financial independence, you're making payments easier, you're doing something for everyone.
Hmm.
But that kind of an approach is very different, wherein your decisions are impacting the grassroots level of people and everyone. So that was the thought process.
Got it. I think one very important point which you mentioned was the importance of the work, the value add which
Yeah,
you're doing in the corporate life. When you think about the value which this is adding, in the longer
yeah,
picture, I think that becomes compounded and then you gain a
yeah,
lot of skill sets. But at that
correct,
point of time, it's just like it seems transactional and you're just living for the weekend, so as to speak.
right,
So, what is the
yeah.
trigger point when you think that, okay, now the stagnation has come in a particular company and probably my work is not adding that much of value. Now I should switch.
If you look at my profile, I've made a couple of switches over the last few years. And every time it has been a different reason for me. So it wasn't like a conscious call that I am getting into a job and I have to just stay there for a year and a half and that's all. That has never been the case. I personally believe that when you stay for a longer period, you add value to yourself. Two, you build certain equity with a lot of stakeholders, with a lot of people around you, which helps you also grow and which helps the organization also to deliver better results when you are in that environment. What really becomes that trigger point is one, what kind of role you are in. Is that role now really adding your work, adding value to the company? Suppose if you don't be there for some time, will it really make a difference? If it is not making a difference, that means you're not really putting in anything new to the maybe the product, maybe the role, or maybe the entire organization. Second probably could be, how is the culture really impacting you? Are you becoming a better person? Are you growing? Are you developing more relations? Are you making a more tighter web of people and processes and products and everything, so that you can take the entire organization also in certain direction? You can take your career in a particular direction. If it
Hmm.
is not happening and you are probably going on a downtrend, I think that is the time when you need to reevaluate what you are doing in a particular place and at a particular time. Third thing, which is like a controversial thing, people don't really want to talk
Mhm.
about it. Compensation again becomes a very important thing. So that is again something which usually becomes a trigger point for a lot of people. They may or may not talk about it.
Got it. I think those are very important points as well. And just seeing that when you are in the comfort zone or not, right? Sometimes you just
Yeah,
become accustomed to doing the same job and you think
yeah,
that you will
yeah,
have to build a brand of your own somewhere. So not falling into that trap, but seeing yourself as a corporate personality who is upskilling and probably
correct.
adding value to the industry. Now, going back to your career trajectory, first of all, what triggered that move from going from a government bank to again a big private banks in product management? And secondly, how do you compare between these two experiences between government and private?
Give my shot at something which I've been dreaming of for so many years.
Hmm.
After that, even then, when it did not really work out, that was the time when I realized that it had brought my life to a standstill. And till that date, I had always been moving. So I had to take that hard call that I had put in my everything and I have to now bring my life back on track and get started with my career. So I was waiting for the right opportunity. It took me those 11 months because I was waiting for the right opportunity which can click with my skill set, my interests also, because I don't want to keep
When you were
roaming
in
around.
SBI PO, right? Those
When
11.
in my SBI, yes,
Got
during those 11 months. I researched about it. It was in partnership with Amazon. So, two premium institutes coming together trying to create something big. Fortunately, it worked out well for me. Even the switch from ICICI to HDFC, even there, so Pays app, it was an existing app, a digital payments app. And I got to know that they were relaunching the app in the market with the renewed focus, with a new tie up with a tech partner. That's how I got into the product management role and just kicked up from there.
That's awesome. And can you just navigate us through what exactly a fintech product manager do and what your day-to-day responsibilities in these two roles were? Like it would have been different, but if you just compare
Yeah.
it across how your growth was, right, from one company to other, what exactly were you managing? Okay.
So there have been all three very different roles. But what has been constant across all three product roles is one, you are continuously talking to marketing, you're talking to sales, you're talking to tech in order to build the product, you're talking to your legal risk compliance because we are a regulated entity at the end of the day, all three for me. So anything that is coming up from RBI's end, you have to be sure that you're on top of that and you are making your product level changes as per that. So
Mhm.
that has been one common thread within all three different kind of roles because ICICI, it was a credit card specific portfolio role.
Okay.
HDFC, it became a digital payments platform. So it was not just restricted to credit cards. There was UPI, there was wallets, there were credit, debit cards, prepaid cards, everything. And then in Visa, you're a network wherein you are on the opposite end of what a bank does. Understanding it from this side is altogether different.
Hmm.
One thing which has probably not been part of my roles, tech integration, wherein you are directly dealing with the engineers, we are directly getting some products built from scratch. So that has never been part of my role because I was always on more of the business side of product management rather than the technical side.
Got it. So when you address this technical background thing as well, right? Many people have the
Yeah,
question that if you don't know coding or if you're not very well on grounded with what is happening and what the
yeah,
developers are doing, it becomes difficult to be a
yeah,
product manager. So what you're saying
yeah,
is that it is a good value add to have, but it is not
correct,
required for such roles. Like you should understand the context behind it so that
right,
probably what the developers say, you can make sense of it and then deliver something
exactly,
on timelines. But
exactly,
any person without technical background, they can also think about switching to such
definitely,
high
definitely.
intensity roles. And what are the skill sets which a product manager should have according to you?
One is a stakeholder management, which is
Right.
very, very crucial because if you're not able to deal with your different stakeholders, you will not be able to solve problems. You will not be able to come up with conclusions. You will not be able to move forward. You are the one who understands the core of the business.
Hmm.
However, there will be 10 other parties which have to participate for making the product launch, for the product growth, for maybe grooming the product. If you're not able to align them with your objectives, it's just not possible for you to move ahead.
Hmm.
Second, I think what you have to be is always listen to the customer, understand the key pain point because they may articulate it in a very different way, whereas you will have to apply your skill set, your strategic role, and then you'll have to modify your products in order to suit the customer's requirement.
Makes sense. So very simplistically summarized, I think it's not a one-person job. It's about taking the whole team along because multiple
Yes.
people's objectives are aligned to this. And now on a different front. So these are the things which probably we can get to know from people we are talking to or the JDs as well. But what are the things which you probably experienced which made you think that this is not something which I signed up for or which I did not know in product management space, but you got to experience it when you were living the life of a product manager?
When you're living in there, you have to maybe deal with minute details. Maybe like if you have to sending a notification to the customer, what is going to be the content there? Is it going to be something which can create some controversy? So
Yeah.
that's something where you have to use your own head, where you have to figure out that how you have to keep a balance between pulse of the customer versus what your organization stands for. So those things are there which no JD talks about. As a product manager, you will have to deal with multiple levels of bosses across organization, ensuring that you take in whatever they say without really offending anyone, but also ensuring that your goals are being met. When you're on the ground, when you are actually dealing with the things day in, day out, that's how you learn, that's how you evolve, that's how you figure things out.
Got it. That's very interesting. And like when I talk about any project which you have done, like projects which probably did not pan out in the way which you were doing or that had failed. So how do you deal with such kind of outcomes when it's a failure? And how does it impact your mindset?
So, like I said, like the way I was working with the HDFC Bank on the launch of Pays app. So, we had literally worked from scratch in building the app and building the entire platform, different
Mhm.
payment instruments. So, my job was to ensure that there are proper placements, there is proper analytics which is happening at the back end, the kind of customer reach which we are getting. So, those kind of things we had to work out. There was a lot of buzz in the market that HDFC has come back with the new app, and but when after some time that initial momentum took a little pause and we had to then probably stabilize the business, there were certain times where probably we were again not able to reach out to the customers in a way and we were losing out from our peers like a GPay or a PhonePe. in such situations, when you see that despite you putting in so much effort at the end and still you are not able to bring that dent on the numbers, as a product manager, you look at that dashboard and you feel like, yeah, your efforts are not really yielding results.
Hmm.
But I think what is important is, instead of just feeling all lost that nothing is moving forward, you take a step back, you evaluate, as I said, you go back to the customers, try and understand what has not clicked with them, what can be done now that you can improve, realign with all your stakeholders, or what are the new features you can build, what are the issues which you can rectify within the app. And once you do that, I think again, it takes some time, it takes some push, and it takes a lot of alignment between everyone. So a lot of my managers in my current job and past job have told me that instead of just sitting and thinking around what should be done, just go out and try. You may succeed, you may fail, but if you don't try, you have already lost the battle. Just keep doing something, keep trying it out. You may fail, but you will get some learning out of it, and which you can implement later.
It's about trying and failing faster, right? So that you know that this
Yes,
is
very
not the approach, but some other thing.
definitely.
So, if you just look back at your career, do you think there could have been one advice, like at the start of your career, you would have done things differently?
If I look back at my career and how I started it, I don't think I would want to change anything, because so even if I look at those 2 years which I was not probably working, and that gave me a slight disadvantage as compared to my peers, I still ended up learning a lot of things, building up on your perseverance there, building up on your patience levels. So those are things which I think I had built back then, and they are still helping me in my career, in my job. And I would want to like pass on the same message to everyone, that if you feel that you really want to do something, take the plunge, trust yourself. Even if the things which you try do not work out, just have confidence that you have something, some capability in you, that you'll be able to make things turn around for you. It may just turn out great for you and take you on a very different trajectory as compared to what others are doing. Even if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of life.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for that. That ends the episode for today. Thanks a lot for this insightful and honest conversation with us. I think it will benefit a lot of people who are seeing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arnav. Thank you so much for calling me, and wish you and everyone a very best of luck.